Following program. If you are easily triggered or offended, please exercise caution while viewing this program, because the hosts really don't care. Warning, this show is not for children, and not for coworkers either. Can't hear you now, JJ.
You disappeared.
You disappeared all of a sudden.
I mean, visibly you're there.
Yeah.
No,
Hi. You want me to do JJ's voice for you?
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. This is JJW, and welcome to the
What?
show. Welcome to rumble.com/JJW.
What happened?
Oh, there you go.
What happened?
There.
Was the video choppy for anybody, or is it just me?
Just you.
I was
So-
dancing.
My wife is upstairs on a phone call. I think she's sabotaging the show.
It's all right.
Good morning,
Hello.
everybody. Welcome back to the show. This is rumble.com/JJW. Please like and subscribe before you evaluate our content. It's the best way for you to enjoy our show. We meet, Deacon and I meet 5 days a week at 8 o'clock in the morning on rumble.com/JJW to talk about news, politics, culture, pop culture, zombies, ghouls, and other politicians.
The reason that we're late today with our live stream is because JJ, it's called Your Two Dads, Your Three Dads today.
Yeah.
JJ was walking his girls to school. He was
Yeah.
He messaged us earlier and
Good
said,
man,
"I'm
good man."
walking my girls to school. We're going to be late today." Well, that's completely perfectly fine. That's awesome.
It was a totally impromptu thing. It was like 7:15, and I was like, I do not have enough time to get everything done. And then my wife was like, do you want to walk the kids to school? And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Yes, I do want to do that. All right.
Good. Dad.
Good man.
I'll just walk to the corner. And then it was like, I'll just walk halfway. And then it was
Go
like,
get flowers.
I'll just
Go get
text
flowers
Deacon.
now.
Why are you playing on your phone? I'm not playing on my phone. I'm just trying to tell Deacon I'm going to be late. Just trying to be polite.
Deacon will be fine if you tell Deacon afterwards. He'll be fine because I understand. I was that guy for a long time with my kids when they were your age. I was the cats in the cradle guy, man. And it hit me one day that the crap that I'm doing don't matter. It's like Toby Keith says in this song, "My Lift." Go for a walk, say a little prayer, take a deep breath of the mountain air. You know, we're too busy doing crap, and it's very admirable that you walk your girls to school.
No, it's not admirable. It's great.
No, it is.
I got extra hugs. I'm good.
You had the thoughts just like we all have. No, I don't have time to do this. I don't have time to do this. I can only do this.
Yeah.
But you postponed everything else for your child just to walk her to school. And I don't think there's anything above that.
Yeah.
Is the show actually going live? Because
Oh, is it not?
I'm not seeing it live. I could be wrong.
Let's
It
see.
says it's live up here in the corner.
Okay, I believe you.
It says it's live, and let's see if it's on Rumble or not.
I'm on Rumble.
Do.
I'm just checking.
I don't know. It's not impossible that the stream key is dorked up. Okay, guys. Man, Deke, why don't you do your music and then I'll
check that while
I'll
I do
check
the
on the
music,
Rumble
yeah.
thing.
All right, so our music today, we've been doing Halloween songs all week or all month, and we only have a week and 2 days left. So we've got some good ones lined up for you. I've saved some good ones for last. And today's is one that popped up yesterday that I thought I forgot about that song. Rockwell, I always feel like somebody's watching me. Remember that song, JJ?
Oh yeah, I love that song.
So
yeah, the Rumble key's messed up. I'm gonna fix it right now.
And if people don't know Rockwell, he was kind of a one-hit wonder. He really never had another hit after this that made the top 20. But Rockwell was the son of Berry Gordy Jr. And Berry Gordy Jr. is basically responsible for almost every single Motown hit that you have heard from 1960 something to early 1980 something.
As I understand it, he actually went into hiding. Rockwell did.
Yeah, I don't think he's a very good
so he
person.
released no more because somebody was watching him.
Oh,
Sorry.
Actually, he went by that name Rockwell because they did not want people to the nepotism, the whole nepotism thing.
Mhm.
They didn't want it, and so and it really kind of showed. Nobody knew at the time that Rockwell was Berry Gordy Jr.'s. It wasn't mainstream knowledge, and he really didn't do anything. So he didn't really use his dad's name. He very easily could have rode on his dad's coattails and used his dad's name, and he did not do it. So kind of, I don't know. I don't think he's. I don't think he's a nice guy. He might be now, but he's done some questionable stuff in his past. All right, Sinister Minister's werewolf bonus today is a good one, man. I was jamming out this morning. My brother called, and he's like, "What are you doing? What are you listening to? Are you listening to Dio?" And I was like, "Dude, I'm listening to Rainbow right now. That's Richie Blackmore ripping it up." And he was, "What are you listening to that for?" He was like, "Dude, I was just listening to Holy Diver the other day, the whole album." I was like, "Oh, Dio."
It's a great album.
Yeah, so if you don't listen to Rainbow, it's really good, heavy rock and roll, metal. Rainbow, Richie Blackmore.
The voice of metal.
Yeah, Dio is the voice of metal. And Richie Blackmore is an unbelievable metal guitarist. He's a metal guitar god. So there you go. There's your songs.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't already, today didn't read the title card, don't even know where you're at. We're going to pretend this is the start of the show, and today's title is...
Hey, it's live.
Come on, title card. Come on up. Come on up, title card. There it is.
I see it.
Hamas terrorists trying to kill Quentin Tarantino. This is not gonna. We're not gonna allow this to happen, guys. Did you see the articles that I posted in the show notes last night? Apparently, I didn't know this. Maybe you knew this. Apparently, Quentin Tarantino lives in Tel Aviv, or at least keeps a house in Tel Aviv. Yeah, really. I read this on Breitbart yesterday, and Quentin Tarantino went down to visit some Israeli military personnel, kind of like a morale booster type thing, down in southern Israel, which is like where Hamas is, murdering people and stuff like that. Director Quentin Tarantino visits Israeli military base to boost morale in a fight against Hamas. Let's see. Let's skip down here. Tarantino has been living in Tel Aviv with his wife, Israeli singer Daniela Pick, who he married in 2018 after he met her in Israel in 2009. He said, "I love the country, and the people are really nice, very nice to me, and they seemed excited that I'm here." That's what he said about living in Tel Aviv. He set up a home in Tel Aviv in 2019, and he expected to kind of like live part-time in Israel and then part-time in Los Angeles. But then when the pandemic shut everything down, he just stayed in Tel Aviv. In 2021, Tarantino experienced a rocket attack, and then his friends started telling him he's now an official Israeli. So Hamas is throwing rockets at possibly the world's most important director. Would you? No, you don't think so? I think Quentin Tarantino has made some of the most important movies.
I think he has made some very culturally impactful movies. I don't know about important.
I think some of them.
If all of his movies were removed from my repertoire, I would be okay. I've enjoyed his movies. Don't get me wrong, but I don't get upset if I miss a Tarantino movie.
Deke, where are you at on this?
Go ahead, JJ.
Well, tell me where you're at on this. I'm asking you where you're at, because I'm saying Pulp Fiction is the most important movie of the 1990s.
The reason, and yes. I'll say it's one of the most important, but I'll addend it and yeah, my brain's not working this morning. I can't spit out words. I had to record the news.
Amend it. Yeah.
I will add this on. Quentin Tarantino is important because he changed he changed movies a little bit. Mm-hmm. He told movies a different way than we had been in. We had told movies a certain way in the 50s and 60s. The late 60s, 70s started telling movies a different way because you could allow more into the movies, with any the subject matter. And in which that's a whole another complete argument, right there. But the 80s did the same thing. There was allowing more. I mean, today the girls don't wear hardly any clothes. You know, even walking around, these girls don't hardly wear any clothes at all today. And I've told Alex one day, I'm like, dude, there's no way that the girls would have gotten away with that back. So that's, you know, you see how, so Tarantino with those movies, with Reservoir Dogs, wasn't that the first one, Reservoir Dogs?
I think that was his directorial debut. He also wrote, I think he wrote True Romance before that, and he may have written. I think I think he has a couple of other writing credits.
As a director, Reservoir Dogs was one of those that had that opening scene, talking about the tip at the table and everything, and that's a classic Quentin Tarantino written, really wordy scene. You know, that's a classic that ended up being, you know, one of his signature things that he does. But also another thing that he did was he cut off the dude's freaking ear and dancing around stuck in the middle with you.
Super violent, super violent. It was
at the time you're like, what the crap?
Reservoir Dogs is basically like a bottle movie where the whole movie takes place in more or less inside one room, right? So it was an experimental bottle movie with non-linear storytelling and unreliable characters telling you what was going on. So, and then Pulp Fiction, which took the non-linear storytelling to another level.
Non-linear storytelling, yes, that you're exactly right. It took it to another level. At the time, we were just like, what in the crap? I got to watch this movie again.
I think people have tried to imitate some parts of Tarantino, but like there's nobody that's done a Pulp Fiction better than Pulp Fiction. Like basically a seminal work, I think.
I'm trying to remember who it was that directed it. I'm blanking now. You'll have to help me. But the only other non-linear movie that I thought was absolutely gorgeous was Memento.
Right. Memento. Right. I knew you were going to say Memento.
That one was
who directed Guy Ritchie. Guy Ritchie, I think.
No, not Guy Ritchie. No, it's not Guy Ritchie. It's the guy from
I can't remember it.
The Batman guy. Patrick.
Nolan?
No.
Oh yeah, it was Nolan.
Yeah, Nolan.
Nolan. Yeah, you're right.
Oh, it was.
And that might be why I loved it so much, because Nolan is a phenomenal.
Yeah. So and Nolan is in the similar stratosphere as Tarantino. You know what I mean?
So for me, I'm going to say the most important '90s movie came in '99.
Guy Pearce.
Was Matrix. I like Tarantino. Please don't mishear me. But I am not. My world is not destroyed if all of Tarantino's movies never existed.
You know what? I'm gonna push back on you on that, and I'll say I would prefer that some of the Matrix movies not exist.
Well, I didn't say that. I just said the Matrix. 2 and 3, we should agree, are not two movies. It's one movie, and it needs to be watched together.
Okay, even your least favorite Tarantino movie, whatever that is still a great movie.
Yeah, right? yeah. He is a very
my least favorite Tarantino movie is probably Jackie Brown. Jackie Brown is a very good movie.
I think that hold the more efforts than any other movies.
I just happen to love all the other Tarantino movies. You know, I love
Kill Bill.
Maybe Kill Bill.
The Kill Bills.
Kill Bill 2.
Oh no, I love those. The scene in Kill Bill 2 when it's the climax. You have been waiting for this for 2 movies, and she opens the door to Bill's apartment, and her little girl turns around and says, "Hi, mommy."
Pull the carpet out from under you. Pull the rug out from under you.
Man. Yeah, he's a good director. And he's one of those people that we could argue with everybody. I don't like him. I do. Me and you could have an argument over M. Night Shyamalan that'll last days. I've argued with everybody over that guy. I love him. I think he's great. I think he's misunderstood. So it's the same way with Quentin Tarantino.
He's made a good movie or two.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't want anybody to die.
Yeah.
Well, right. So if Joe Biden and the establishment haven't convinced you guys that we need to go to World War III yet, just wait till they start mentioning that Hamas is trying to kill America's most important director.
I've added a bonus song. If you will go right over there next to Sinister Minister's Chrome Dome and click that little QR code, you can hear our bonus song on the Deeks playlist today. which is the Steelers wheel stuck in the middle with you.
If you and not only guys, okay, so we're broadcasting on YouTube, and if you watch on YouTube, very grateful. Please like and subscribe and all that stuff. YouTube
Circle
does
K,
not
you
like
can
us.
Sponsor us.
Hey,
Strange
I love-
things are afoot
I love
at
Circle
the
K.
Circle
They
K.
should sponsor us.
YouTube occasionally bans us. So if you haven't already, go over to rumble.com/JJW. Make sure to follow us there. And if you're on our Discord server, there's a channel, Show Chat. And if you chat in the Show Chat, we can put it here in the show. So.
All I have to say is one sentence, and I'll get us banned from YouTube, and it makes JJ so mad.
No, it's not. It doesn't make me mad. It's just it's a mild inconvenience for a week or 90 days, 90 days at a time. I do not currently have a strike. All right. Hey, did you guys see that? Hey, good morning, Dugan. Good morning, sir.
What's up, dude?
I asked everybody's favorite Quentin Tarantino movie. His favorite Tarantino flick is Pulp Fiction. Absolutely respectable answer there. Good answer. Okay.
There's so many good scenes in Pulp Fiction. I was trying to think what my favorite scene in Pulp Fiction is, but there's so many good scenes in Pulp Fiction.
There's no filler. There is no filler in that movie.
There's no filler.
It is. It's just fascinating.
I haven't seen it in a long time. I might need to go and rewatch that. It was so good. Just from beginning to end and rewatch it. I don't know. I think probably my favorite scene, I would say my favorite scene is when Vincent Vega is buying the heroin and he's having the conversation with the guy, the heroin dealer, about his car getting keyed.
That's Eric Stoltz.
Yeah, Eric Stoltz is the drug dealer.
The alternate Marty McFly. The very nearly was Marty McFly, Eric Stoltz.
Yeah.
Was initially Marty McFly.
Yeah.
That whole scene where he's Vincent, I've said that line so many times. When Vincent Vega says, it would have been worth me catching him. It would have been worth him keying my car for me to catch him keying my car.
Right.
I always thought, man, that's a really powerful line right there. I always thought that's a good line. That's one of my favorite lines in the whole movie.
All right.
Let's move on.
All right. So, guys, I know everybody, obviously, for the last week or so, we've been talking about war and stuff, and we have been besieged once again with propaganda all over the place ever since the Ukraine war, and probably way before that. But obviously, since the Ukraine war, it's been pretty obvious that we are being inundated with propaganda against. Israel is propagandizing us to support Israel. Hamas and Palestine are propaganding us to support Palestine, which really means supporting Hamas, which really means killing Jews. All of mainstream media is propagandizing us to get the U.S. involved in this war somehow by backing one or the other or both, or spend our money and get our own soldiers killed. We are constantly under this kind of state of true but misleading information. And Deke, you and I have talked before, and I've said this kind of stuff before, and we are getting very near to the point where you are not going to be able, you're already in a place where you should not believe the news because the news is misrepresenting and it's lying. But we're very nearly going to be at the point where you can see video and you can see people talking and you can see things happening, and it will not be real. It'll be fake. So with that in mind, check this out. Israel has this amazing levitating intangible missile. And let me, I just didn't even believe this when I saw it initially. This thing right here is so fascinating. The weapons tech Israel has, they can bring this missile in, not even touch the ground, and it can pass right through vehicles. It's obviously not really what's going on here. This is extremely convincing looking and fascinating. This is video of a burning car.
Is that car not really there on fire? Is that what I'm looking at that's fake?
That is not real. That is totally fake. It's made in Unity 3D. Unreal.
Unity
it's
or
made in
Unreal?
Unreal. I think it's Unreal. That's totally fake. And
We've come a long way since Jurassic Park, haven't we? Hey, I've got one that Ashley sent me last night. Let me pull this up.
All right.
While you're pulling it up, I'll say one thing. We talked a little bit about this at church the other night. I I told him, I'm like, the news, it's going to tell you all kinds of stuff. If you really want to see what's going on, pull out Snapchat, do your geo fielding, and just know that you're going to see stuff that you're not going to forget, but you're going to see what's actually going on. I don't encourage you to do this because some of the stuff's going to be really gruesome looking, but that's a really quick way to see what's actually going on in there. You're not going to be able to fake that as quick.
Ashley turned me on to that during like one of the riots or something that were going on somewhere, and she was like, I was like, where are you watching? Because she was over doing that. I was like, what are you doing? She was like, I'm watching these people's Snapchats videos from Seattle or wherever the crap it was. And I was like, oh, that's a really smart idea right there, because you can get the real. We were doing that during the wildfires in Maui. We were trying to go through and watch those, and you were getting a different story than you were getting in the media.
But this also plays into the, what you said a minute ago, JJ, about how, you got the facts that are coming to you, but it's not the truth. Essentially, you can take a statistic and twist it any way you want. You can take an image and twist it any way you want.
Not just an image. You can take those same videos you guys are talking about and clip off the first 3 seconds, and you can change the context. Right. You can make things look totally different than they are. So even what you guys are talking about, that's closer to being something true, but it's not vetted. It's not vetted. Right. It's not authenticated. And
you don't even, I mean, you can still do old school ways of messing with things. Remember when Anderson Cooper was sitting there all up to his freaking neck or whatever in the floodwaters down in Louisiana, and then the picture came out and his cameraman is in ankle deep water, and like, no, I think Anderson Cooper was sitting in a little fucking kayak or something,
Right.
Remember that? Well, there's another one that's come out, and this is what Ashley showed me last night. The German chancellor's entourage in Israel posted a viral video of them ducking under a Hamas missiles prior to leaving an Israeli airport. The only problem, their performance accidentally captured people in the background walking around like nothing was happening. And then they had this and here's their professional cameraman filming every single thing.
Wow.
So why? I mean, look, he's even looking directly at the camera. And the people back here are loading that plane like, oh, there's no missile strike. So once again, to echo and parrot what JJW just said, do not believe anyone.
I mean, okay, so obviously you should believe us. You should believe us. We're telling you the truth.
We're just as reliable as any other news source.
Absolutely. So 100%. What I've been doing for following this information, obviously we look at the, media. I look at Breitbart and an array of websites and whatnot, but I'm also on Twitter. I've got a list of open source intelligence people that I follow. So there's OS and Defender and a few other people that are into either security or analysis or things like that. And usually I will see things that either the major media won't cover at all, or it'll be days before like it makes the story. In some cases, these guys are breaking news in real time, and these guys will go back and they'll be like, I pulled that post down because I had some inaccurate, or I went back and fixed it. And the mainstream media does not do that. It was we had New York Times change their headline 3 times and still be wrong. And in the Washington regarding the Gaza hospital bombing, and the Washington Post printed it hours after it had been debunked. But so, like mainstream media is just, they're not doing their due diligence. So all I'm cautioning guys, if you're going to go out there and follow people on Snapchat or all these other social media sites, you got to curate, and you have to be really, I don't know what's the right word. You got to be really judgmental of the content they provide. And if there's ever a moment where they're promoting something that turns out to be fake, you should unfollow them and block them and just never trust them again. Because if somebody else lied to you once, they'll lie to you again. You know what I mean?
I said last night, as me and my son, my 15-year-old son, was walking through Walmart, and he was telling me about a problem that he'd had with a friend of his who was pulling who had lied to him once and went back and done it again, and he had given him 3 or 4 chances. And I said, shame, lied to me once, shame on you, lied to me twice, shame on me. And I was like, there's an old saying that kind of goes that way. And I was telling him, and explain that to him. And it's the same thing that we're doing. The media continues to lie to us every day, and most of us are just, I don't know.
Okay.
They just
So I'm gonna just segue a little bit because if we can get out of this, we can get out of we can get onto some other things, right? There was a
Segues by JJW.
nah, it's not a good segue. So, but we're still in this war stuff. A State Department employee has resigned. Thank you so much. A State Department employee has resigned based on the Biden administration's policies with regard to Israel. This guy right here stood on his principle and resigned, posted his resignation on Facebook, and I think I texted maybe Dave yesterday on Discord. I was like, "There's resigning, and there's resigning and burning the building down on your way out." This guy resigned and then contacted the media, and it was republished on various social media sites. He says that we cannot be both for freedom and against it, and he's let's see. Josh Paul worked for the State Department's Bureau of Political Military Affairs, and he posted his resignation letter on LinkedIn Thursday, and it was posted back over to Twitter by a colleague. Today, I informed my colleagues that I've resigned from the State Department due to a policy disagreement concerning our continued lethal assistance to Israel. I believe to the core of my soul that the response Israel is taking, and with it the American support both for the response and status quo occupation, will only lead to more and deeper suffering for both the Israeli and Palestinian people. It is not in the long-term American interest. This administration's response, and much of Congress as well, is an impulsive reaction built on confirmation bias, political convenience, intellectual bankruptcy, and the bureaucratic inertia. It is immediately disappointing and entirely unsurprising. Decades of the same approach have shown that security for peace leads neither to security nor peace. The fact is, blind support for one side is destructive in the long term to the interests of the people on both sides. I fear we are repeating the same mistakes we have made these past decades, and I decline to be part of it any longer. So you may not agree with him, but this dude, unlike probably many other people in the government, this guy stood on his principle and quit.
He said the Hamas attack was not just a monstrosity; it was a monstrosity of monstrosities, which I thought was a really interesting way. I mean, like very much condemning Hamas, and he thinks Israel is right to counter, but he doesn't. We're getting the finger. Give me the finger.
Oh, he's on. He's going. Yeah. He's on the air.
Give me the finger.
Israel absolutely has the right to go after Hamas. They're threatening their citizens. We don't need to be involved. America should not be involved. It's not our neighborhood. It's not our fight. It's not our problem. We can't close our own doors. We can't secure our own borders. There's a lot we can't do. We don't need to be going in over there. We don't need to be in Ukraine.
What we could end up doing is ratcheting everything up by providing support. And what that does is that's going to call in, okay, you're going to attack Hamas. Now Hamas has got to call in their friends because Israel's called in their friends. And that's how a world war starts. Everybody starts calling in their friends. You were probably involved in a fight like that when you were in middle school or high school where your buddy got picked on. And so you
escalation.
You hopped in.
Our involvement will only end in escalation.
Yes. And we're already involved in other places. No comment on any of that, but we're already involved in other places, and so it's just going to ratchet up. And it's not like, with Ukraine and Russia is friends with Iran, and Iran is supporting Hamas. It doesn't take a huge leap of logic to say that, man, this is not good.
I mean, there are real and material actions happening right now. We moved our fleet into the Mediterranean within striking distance of everything in the Middle East. There's a huge fleet. There's support vessels and all kinds of stuff. There's at least two. I don't have the numbers of the deployments on hand. One of the ships in the area is the USS Carney, and yesterday within the last 24 to 36 hours or so. Yeah, within the last 24 hours, our destroyer shot down missiles that were fired towards the ship, but they were land strike missiles. So we intercepted some missiles fired from Yemen toward Israel toward Israel. So I mean,
wasn't one of our ships shot at yesterday?
We had, I think there have been 11 attacks at U.S. bases in Iraq, Syria. Did you know we have a base in Syria? What the hell? Yes. Why do we have a base in Syria? There have been at least 11 attacks against personnel and bases and maybe ships, and in the last 48 hours.
So what? Okay, so that I was reading. I've got an AP story here, October 17th, and this is the AP. It's talking about more ships and warships and aircraft are moving to the region. Currently, one aircraft carrier and strike groups are already in the Middle Eastern. One second one has left the U.S. is heading that way. In addition, 3 Marine warships are moving into the region. Scores of aircraft were dispatched to the U.S. military bases around the Middle East, and American Special Operations Forces are working with Israeli military in planning and intelligence. As of Tuesday, 5 shipments of U.S. weapons and equipment have arrived in Israel.
Really?
I heard this morning on the news, and I haven't had a chance. I've been busy in the studio this morning. I haven't had a chance to actually look up this story, but it was something like it was explaining, Biden is wanting this money, and he was, it was a clip of Biden telling me I'm such a fucking horrible person because I'm not sending money to help these people, is what he was saying, that we just really need to suck it up and send this money. And of course, I was arguing with the freaking radio at the time. I'm like, I can't even feed my kids, and you're wanting to and because they were listing what all the money was going for. He was asking money, and he was using the Middle East and saying this conflict. But $100 million, not like that, or it was like $10 billion or something of what he was asking for. The majority of it was going to Ukraine. It was going to Ukraine.
We're just giving them tons and tons of money, I guess. Now, probably a lot of that money is in equipment, arms, and material support. Perhaps, I don't know.
There was a couple of shipments of artillery shells, if I remember correctly, that were supposed to go to the Ukraine that ended up going to Israel.
Yeah. We're gonna. We need to stop this.
Are they going to give us anything back?
No,
ever,
never.
Why not?
Yeah, that's never going to happen. Deke, over the last year or so, a number of times we've spoken about fuel prices, right? Especially last year, the inflation went up and fuel prices went up.
I got gas for under $3 the other day.
Yeah, just a few minutes ago, $2.99.
Enjoy it, sir.
I paid $2.99. I passed by the gas station. As I was passing by, I looked and it said $2.95, and I was like,
I've got Let me get it while I can. So
yes, because I was in the town south of us, and I was going home, and I passed. I was like, "Holy crap! I got to get this."
So last year, the inflation was so bad, and gas prices were going up so much that President Joe Biden decided to tap into our strategic oil reserve to try to bring prices down a little bit, and he got them down like a whole nickel, I think, by emptying out 40% of our storage.
To preface that, you need to remember that Joe Biden is historic as a president because he done something that no other U.S. president has ever done, and that is he done something on his very first day in office. He made this decree and shut down that freaking oil pipeline that Trump and everybody had been building up and whatnot. And what did the prices of gasoline do within the next 6 months?
Immediately went up, straight up.
Immediately went up at least $1. In 6 months, it went from 182 in my area to 260, 270, easily. And it has not, we'll go up to my area, we'll get up to about 340, 345, and that's about as high as we'll get. And it'll stay that way for a couple of days, and it'll slowly ease back down. And right now, we're easing back down because the one closest to my house is like 305. And I'm like, ooh, that's a pretty good price.
Did Saudi Arabia just say they were shutting down some pipelines?
I don't know if they shut down pipelines, but they manipulate the production all the time to keep gas prices at a certain level.
We have been lied to about where we get oil, how much oil forever, and it's been lied to for 2 or 3 generations now, so we've believed it. But we are wisening up because we have technology, and other people are like, this is bullshit. There's a lot of oil down here. So think about it. If us 3 found oil for the first time and realized, hey, we don't need to use this to lubricate these parts like oil was used in the first engines. We need to use this as the combustion of the engine and refine it and whatnot. And if we realize that this oil well has a lot of oil, well, we're going to get a quarter a gallon for it. But if we tell everybody there's only, we're only going to be able to get 2 or 3 months and then we'll have to shut her down, we can charge $2 a bucket for it,
Well, it's okay. So it's not like an oil well just produces gasoline either. It has a product, and that product has to be withdrawn, has to be transported, has to be refined, has to be separated into different types.
And that's a whole nother argument right there that I always, because my dad was a semi-truck driver, and the reason goods have gone up, one of the reason goods have gone up is because the transportation costs of these goods have gone skyrocketing because diesel fuel is higher than gasoline. Look how much diesel fuel is when you pass by one of those stations, and look how high it is. And imagine putting 100, 200 gallons of diesel fuel in your truck and how much that costs.
Right.
Okay, so that transfers to the the trailer of computers that's hauling back there that he's hauling to the store. So here's the get though. When you take oil and go through the refining process to make gasoline, you have a couple of byproducts. And one of those byproducts is diesel fuel. It doesn't cost anything extra to make diesel fuel. And if you will go back and ask some old truck drivers that drove back in the 80s and the 90s, how much was gasoline higher than diesel fuel back then, or was diesel fuel higher than gasoline? Diesel fuel was always cheaper. Always cheaper. And it went straight through the roof because one of the reasons is they're manipulating. I can charge more and you have to have it. I've said this a million times. Look at anything in your room, and at one point that was transported by a semi truck. Anything look at. The paint on the wall was transported by a semi truck at one point.
So the reason why I bring up fuel prices is because the Biden administration last night he gave a speech from the Oval Office, and if you were listening, it's pretty clear that Homeboy is trying to get us into a war, talking about things like the arsenal of democracy. What the fuck kind of thing is that to say? But the reason why I bring it
up, those are keywords that you put in to make the sheep.
Yeah,
those are brainwashing. I can't hear Dave. Oh,
I said no comment.
Yeah.
Those are brainwashing words that you place in to get the lower intelligence people in a already mindset. I am taking the car and I'm starting to steer it a certain way. We haven't got to our direction yet, but I'm starting to let you know is what those words do.
For the last
notice them
2 years, we've been embroiled in a proxy war as a member of NATO on the border of Russia and Ukraine. Biden's response to Israel Hamas is going to result in ratcheting up of tensions and is currently involved the U.S. military on the ground being attacked and intercepting missiles. We just covered that just a minute ago. But last year, in order to get your gas price down to 5 cents, Joe Biden emptied out 40% of our strategic oil reserves and has not replaced it. Here is the story that I was getting to. From Politico, Biden sold off almost half of the U.S. oil reserve, and now he's getting us into a crisis without our reserve that we would use to navigate a crisis. Where did
that money go? How much did we get for it, and where did that money go?
They sold it off. They put it onto the open market. By adding to the market, you increase supply. Increasing supply lowers the cost a little bit, and that was all just to try to get votes for the 2020 election, I think. So to try to get people when people are paying too much for gas or spending so much of their money on gas, they can't buy groceries. People get really, really angry. So Joe Biden released a bunch of oil from the strategic oil reserve to try to get prices down so they wouldn't be so mad at Democrats during the 2022 congressional elections. So here is the at the end of the Trump presidency in 2020. No, in December 2020, we had about 638.1 million barrels of oil in the strategic oil reserve. And then you can see just after he closed the pipeline, as you say, and just after and during the 2022 election season, look here, you can see January 2022, we had 590 million. He had already sold off like $40 million barrels of oil. And throughout, look, May, June, August, all the way through September 2022, he had already sold off 150 million barrels of oil. And currently we reside at 351 million barrels of oil. So he's sold off almost 300 million barrels of oil and hasn't replaced it, and is deploying political strategies that will result in increased conflict. We are not prepared for a fight, and he's trying to get us into two. So,
Is it? I've heard numerous times that America loves like a wartime president. So speculate.
That's not what we have. We have a wartime puppet.
Well,
wartime sock puppet. Yeah.
If I can get all of my chess pieces in position, I'm playing the long game, right? If I get them in position, and people might not like the moves I'm making right now, but as soon as it's election time, guess what's going on? Because all of this stuff is going on. Okay, I am the only one that can do this because I've got everything in position. And so, bam. I'm not saying that's what's happening, but I'm also not saying that's what's
that
not
is the
happening.
Traditional kind of logic. You know, a wartime president, I don't know if a wartime president has ever lost an election, right? And maybe
I think we've only had one president in the last 20 years that was not involved in a war skirmish.
Yeah, we've been at war. It's
40 years,
we've
maybe.
been at war for 20 years.
Well,
we only have one president that was not involved in any overseas wars.
Who was that?
Trump.
Yeah, it's Trump. It's Trump. Hey, but if you like war, vote Biden. So let's say you're right. Let's say the idea is, look, if we're in a war, people will vote for me again. Just on its face, that's fucking horrible. Because how many young men, how many of your sons
and women,
cousins and brothers are going to die for a fucking re-election of a demented old man? I'm sorry, I get mad. I get a little mad about this because I see. I mean,
you served.
We are very much on the brink of real war, and they ain't calling me up. They're gonna call some of you kids. They're gonna
call me.
you guys are gonna get murdered. You don't understand.
I are older than you by at least a little bit. Yeah. You're the young guy.
Yeah, they're not calling us, guys. They're calling y'all. All right, can we talk about something fun? We got any more dismal news?
I want fun.
I don't have dismal news. I don't want to talk about. Let's talk about something fun. We got like 20 minutes, 25 minutes.
Oh, last thing. Sorry, the White House doxed some special forces guys yesterday. Okay, that's it.
Okay.
What do you got? What do you guys have?
Professional Segues by JJW.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you want my story now?
Yeah, I want some fun stuff. All my stuff is
okay. I only have one story here for fun. And this one's not really a fun one. I just thought, Sinister Minister is going to be on. We need to talk about this subject because, and you said you posted it. I must have missed this one the other day.
I did. I shared it with my wife.
The scientist, after decades of study, concludes that we do not have free will. And he done this because of epilepsy, basically.
Okay.
After more than 40 years studying humans and other primates, this doctor has reached the conclusion that virtually all human behavior is as far beyond our conscious control as the convulsions of a seizure, the division of cells, or the beating of our hearts. This means accepting that a man who shoots into a crowd has no more control over the fate of the victims who happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. The world is really screwed up and made much, much more unfair by the fact that we reward people and punish people for things that they have no control over, he says. We have no free will. Stop attributing stuff to us that isn't there. This guy is a genius grant winner, is extremely aware that this is an out there position. Most neuroscientists believe humans have at least some degree of free will. So do most philosophers and the vast majority of the general population. Free will is essential to how we see ourselves, fueling the satisfaction of achievement or the shame of failing to do the right thing. So, JJ,
Yes.
what do you think? What do you think?
I, you know, I don't think I am very dubious that we have very much free will. I don't think we have that much free will. You certainly do not have uh, infinite options available to you, right? Like you can make choices in my mind anyway. You can make choices among the available options to you, and then the available options to you in real life are constrained by all kinds of circumstances or like they could be all kinds. It could be people around you. It could be your employment. Like all kinds of potential consequences for these choices make it so that you can't really make those choices. And you're let me frame this another way. I'm not even sure people make choices to begin with. Not really.
So
I think.
I think
Go ahead, Dave. Go ahead with what you thought on it. I'm gonna
I
try to
think what
frame
he's
my thoughts on
describing
this.
isn't will, but causation. I'm hungry, so I'm going to eat. That's not a free will choice. That's a causation. I'm hungry, and that's causing me to eat. Now, if I am a firefighter, which I'm not, if I'm a firefighter and there's a building on fire, I'm going to run in. That's my choice to run in. No, you're a firefighter. That's your job. That's what you do. If I'm driving down the road and I see somebody hurt, I stop to help that person. That's a choice. There,
But they're choosing to be a firefighter, and you're choosing to eat. You could choose
well,
to not eat,
they're not.
even though you're just
Yes,
hungry.
yes, but your body is pushing that further. I don't think there's a free will
Yeah,
choice.
the consequence is going to be, they're going to have consequences
Right.
from not eating.
So I don't know if will is really the right word, because it sounds more causation to me. Action reaction.
I think what he's basically saying is that I don't know. I really don't know how, because I want to attribute it to the butterfly effect some way, and I can't really put those two pieces together, because I was having this conversation with Alex the other day about how the only reason we know each other is because all of his great grandparents, the hundreds of them that they are, all had to meet and fall in love and have their children at the times that they
have to fall in love.
So, well, you know what I mean. I was using fall in love.
They had to
So
pair up
Alex, there's a
temporarily.
bird and a bee, and when they get together, so if you think about it, it goes back to that. There's a Brad Paisley song that talks about this whole big family. The first part of the song talks about this whole big family get together and all these hundreds of people that's come from all over the United States, and these little kids and these old people, and all these people are here, and it's all because they're celebrating this couple's anniversary, the great grandparents or something, and it's all because two people fell in love. Two people fell in love, and those hundreds of people are the result of those people. And I'm wanting to for free will. I want to think we have free will, and if I want to shut off my camera now and just leave, I can. But I also want to think that maybe it was predetermined, and maybe if I believe in an omniscient
or omniscient.
Right.
Yeah, omniscient,
omnipresent, and
omnipotent,
omnipotent. I can't say a damn word today. I can't talk today. I said that earlier. God, then an omnipotent God would already know every single move that I'm going to make in my life.
So I explain this with my kids with free will and predestination. My son comes home from school, takes his socks off, throws them on the ottoman. He knows that I don't like this. I don't like his dirty, smelly socks on the ottoman. Throw them in the hamper. The next day he comes home, I know that he's going to do this, right? And I've told him not to do this. Is this a free will choice or is it predestined? Am I able to just say, yeah, I know what you're going to do based on all of my knowledge of my son? I know their behaviors, and I'm sure you all know your kids' behaviors and what they're going to do when they get home from school, where they're going to throw their backpack, what they're going to do when they get home, open the fridge and stand there for 30 seconds and get nothing out of it. You know these things, your kids are going to do them. Was it predestined, or is it their free will, and your predestination is always based on we call it foreknowledge in Scripture?
But I want to believe that his free will, if he wanted to, as he was walking in the door, his neurons fired off and was like, oh, don't need to do that on the couch today. Yeah. And you're ready for him. I would want my son to do, when my son gets done eating, I want him to pick up the plate and go take it into the kitchen. He doesn't every single time. I've said it 1,000 times to him. Yeah. I've said it 1,000. Alex, take your plate in the kitchen. You know, he knows I'm going to say it. I know what he's going to do.
All right.
But I'm waiting for that time for his brain to fire off ahead of time.
You're not talking about free will, though. You're talking about programming. You're talking about programming.
But you have to program yourself to do certain things.
So
I would get mad. When I get mad, you know, I have to tell myself I can't do that anymore. And the next time I get mad, maybe I don't get mad for as long. But every time I do that, if I try to improve myself, eventually I'm going to get mad and not react.
Okay.
So as long as you continue to work on yourself, is that free will or is that predetermined?
All right. So the moment where you're making a choice, that moment and choosing one choice or another, that's kind of the time that you're talking about free will. But I think that's an illusion. Okay. I think, and I've heard Scott Adams say this a lot, or several times, that free will is an illusion. Humans, in my experience, and I agree, always do what they are. They always follow their impulses for what they want most. Okay,
sure.
Always. It's not a matter of choosing between this or that. It's always a matter of, I'm just going to do whatever I want the most. Now, in some people's cases, they have pre-programmed their brain so that what they want the most is to not make you mad and you stand there with the refrigerator open. Right.
So is that your choice then, or is someone else causing you to do that?
No, you can program your own brain.
It's your free will.
No, what you're doing is taking a moment to evaluate the results of the things you will do and find out what you want the most.
But there's no one else impacting it.
People will always follow their impulse for what they want the most. What they want the most might change if you consider things. If you spend some additional time thinking about the outcomes of your choices, but people always do what they want, which is why when you're telling your son, "Hey, don't put the socks on the ottoman," eventually that programming is in there and it's like, look, if I do this, she's just going to get mad at me, and I really don't want to be yelled at, so I'll just do something else.
So what about the repercussions of putting the socks on the ottoman 2 or 3 times after you've told him? What about the long-term repercussions of this that we don't see? And this is what God sees that we don't see. He sees that in 10 years, your son is going to remember something because you had to tell him 3 or 4, 5, 6 times he's going to remember that. I have brought up something to my mother when she was still alive. I brought this up to her after I was adult. Something that always bugged me after I started thinking about it. And after I matured and started thinking about how I acted during this certain situation as a kid, it always bothered me. And I had to tell her one day about this. And I'll tell you what it was. Our house burnt down in 1989. We lost everything that I owned, everything. And they had to go, as a parent, they had to go rebuy everything. Kids were in school, in middle school and elementary school, rebuy stuff, rebuy clothes and all this stuff. We stayed with my grandmother, and Mom had went to Walmart and bought me a pair of shoes that I could wear, and they were yellow and white. And my little middle school ass threw a fit because I didn't want to go to school in yellow and white shoes. I would be made fun of and blah, 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 and all this. I threw a fit, and she had to go, and she got me another pair of shoes and whatnot. So as I got an adult, I realized, God, what a little shit I was.
Ungrateful.
Everything had just burnt down. She was trying to provide, and I'm throwing a little fit over the color of my freaking shoes. If I could go back in time, I'd whoop my own ass. And so that really bothered me a lot through life. And I brought it up to her. She didn't even remember it. She didn't even remember it. She was like, son, don't let that bother you so much. I don't even remember that.
Yeah.
And so that made me think.
It's a good mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was. Yeah. That little moment has made an impact on the way that I look at things in life. And she didn't even freaking remember it.
Yeah.
So that's the butterfly effect on this stuff that my dad preaches over and over again about certain things, and I catch myself preaching over and over again about those same things to my son.
Yes.
I know to check my oil. I know not to rev my engine and peel my tires.
Not do donuts in the parking lot.
So, I mean, you can look at predetermined, you can look at free will.
Earlier, I was saying that like your choices in life are constrained. Like you, out of infinite choices, you have some that are constrained. How many of your choices in your life have been constrained by the fact that it dwells on you that you were ungrateful to people about your shoes? How many times have you looked back on that, thought about it, and ruled out some things that you could do, say, or be because that was in there in your mind and limiting your choices. So
it changed the way that I look at things.
Yeah.
Certain things when that pops into my mind.
And it's not like, I mean, I kind of like I think of people as like programmable machines, and in some ways you are programmable. You're a computer.
Yes, very much.
But in other ways, there's also chaos and neurons firing off in totally stochastic manners that bring up memories that have nothing at all to do with anything except you have a whiff of a smell of something and it brings you back 15 years. So like there is both information that you program into your mind that restrains your choices, but then there's also chaotic memories that come up that make you think back and remember a thing you liked or remember a thing you didn't like, and that also constrains your choices. So, and then of all of those things you have left that you can choose from, people are going to choose. I think people are going to choose whatever they want most. It's just what do people want most, and those kind of impulses are really primitive. They're not at the conscious way things if I do
People
this A, if I do
that.
this B. It's like way more like I'm going to get that apple. I want that apple. Eat.
People study that. That's why advertising works the way it does. It knows exactly how we choose.
We are all susceptible to that kind of manipulation that you're talking about.
Yeah.
So Do-Good says people can't choose in a vacuum, though. There's always consequences and other people involved, and that's true. There are always consequences.
Consequences, though, wait a minute. Consequences, though, when we say that word, you automatically think of a negative connotation. You put a negative connotation on that word, consequences.
Reactions.
Consequences does not have to be, yes, the better word would be reactions. Mm-hmm. There's always a reaction to an action. That's a physics law. And I have learned that the hard way, that there are always action, but I have.
And you've talked about that a number of times on the show.
Yeah. Because of one of my actions, there are now 4 people alive because of a choice that I made at the time. Whether it was the right choice or the wrong choice depends on how you look at it in the context.
The consideration of those consequences was not part of your choosing at the time.
No, absolutely. It was completely selfish at the time. I was a completely selfish person at the time.
I think Do-Good is saying that, there's consequences and you have to think about all the effects of other people. But
yeah, absolutely. And people in our society, it seems like today they don't do that. It's narcissistic.
I had a buddy say that he's never made a mistake in his life. He's made choices, and those choices have consequences.
And that's what I used to say. that this particular incident was a mistake. It was a mistake. It was a mistake. And then God slapped me across the face one day and was like, dude, it was not a mistake. It was a choice. It was a choice. You made a choice, and this is the repercussions of the choice that you made. You know, it was not a mistake. The person being alive is not a mistake.
I just want to. Oh no! Let's see. Sorry, my webpage is busted right now. Let's see if this works. Yeah, we got like Service 500 on our show. I was gonna say, right now, you folks that are watching could choose to subscribe to our channel and hit the like button on the show.
Oh my Lord! Do you have a joke? Did you bring your dad jokes down?
They're upstairs. My wife's stolen. I'll get one. You guys go first.
I gotta pull mine up. Hold on. I had one the other day.
I am. And for those of you that want to contribute dad jokes, do it in our Discord server because JJ so greatly needs your help because I have correctly guessed 19 of his answers to his dad jokes. So when we get to 20, I told JJ I did not want to give him a complete shutout. So I'm going to give him a toss up when we get to 20. I've got it ready.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's perfect. He should get it immediately. He should get it. So
very likely.
It's a good one.
Very
too.
likely.
It's not some corny
right,
1990s joke from a box you bought in Goodwill.
Guys, why did the stadium get so hot after the game?
Because the fans left.
Shit.
Ding, ding.
Did you cheat?
What are you?
Is that
not
fast
cheating.
3-0?
No,
Are you
cheating.
2-0 or 3-0?
I don't know what I
You're
am.
not cheating. Damn.
All right.
Do y'all ever reward your kids for doing good things?
Yeah, of course.
absolutely.
Yeah, some people get
paid.
paid to be good. Not me. I'm good for nothing.
That's
That's a good one. That's a good one. Last night, Ashley and I had some time together, so we made dinner. I got to make dinner for her, and I made a salad. And she told me, she said, the salad's a bit on the dry side. And I was real busy at the time, and I said, well, that's definitely a subject that needs addressing.
I like that. I'll steal that one.
Are you being burgled, JJ? What's going on? Is there a burglar in the house?
Oh my god! Oh my lord! Do you guys hear that? Jeez.
No, I'm not here. We're not hearing.
Oh,
anything.
you're not hearing anything?
No.
This thing's unreliable. All right. Well,
I'm trying to find the outro, but I don't know where it's at.
it's let's see. It's the one on the. It's right. It's this one.
All right. I lost him again. I can hear her laughing.
Wow.
Goes on for like 30 minutes.